All right, so we have a, yes.
Do you recommend using IntelliJ for JavaScript over like WebStorm, for example?
So if you use the ultimate version, then yes, it includes everything that WebStorm has. But if you use the normal one without the JavaScript, then no, I prefer WebStorm. Yeah, yeah. This is the ultimate version. It has everything WebStorm has. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the movie search component. What we'd like to be able to do from here is go and fetch movies, right? And see how we can do that. All right. So let's go into our movie search component. And another thing that we inherit from the React component is a constructor. So because we're a class, right? You get more or less of all the same benefits of being in an object-oriented world, right? Of which, in particular, we have a constructor. We have a constructor, right? But our constructor, because we are inheriting from React component, our constructor has to be a little more than just a no argument constructor. It has to at least receive props. Props is the way that components can talk to other components, right? Can pass along data from our parent components down to child components and so on and so forth, and they can talk to one another. Notice that it's still not happy. It still wants to at least call the parent constructor, right, which is declared by our parent component that we are inheriting from. Right? This props is again the way that the components can share information amongst each other, share behavior, passing each other data and functions, right, to be invoked from each other. Right. Another thing that we can do in the constructor is to initialize the state of this component. Right. For instance, one of the things we might want to initialize is an empty list of movies, right, that we would like to be able to maybe iterate over, right? Maybe we want to search for a particular movie, and as the movie comes, if we do find, send that query out to the server comes back with some array of movies, and when we get it, we would like to iterate over it and display it in our user interface. Yes, right. So we can start here by an empty array of movies. We can say maybe this dot state. And state here has a special meaning. This is the state of this component of this that we can mutate over time by adding, removing. In this case, we're going to have an array of movies, right? And each movie could be it could be different things. It could have the title, maybe let's see, Aliens. It could have, here's another movie, and this might be Titanic, maybe title, and we might say Terminator 2. I have a thing for James Cameron. And so now that we have the state, right, we can now perhaps render this state by iterating over this array in the state, right? We can iterate right here and display perhaps as a list of movies. Okay. One limitation here, just one thing to know, is that when you return anything, one of the limitations is that you can only return one single element. Right here, we are only returning the H1, so it's happy. But if I want to put something else down here, it's going to complain, right? So if we want to return more than one element, we need to put it inside of a parent element, like this div here, right? Div allows you to collect multiple elements internally. All right, so let's add a list. All right, so the list, we might want it to look something like this: UL, and then maybe a list here that says aliens, that says then Titanic. This is what we want to render: Titanic and Terminator 2. Right. So that's what we want it to look like. But obviously, we don't want the static version of this, right? We want to display a dynamic, based on this array over here. So instead of this, what we can do is empty this out. maybe use one of these as a template. We can use one of these as a template, and we want to iterate over this. We want to accumulate. We want to copy and paste this li multiple times, once per object that we have in the movies, right? So in JavaScript, we have a function that allows us to do that, right? We can embed here JavaScript, because we're going to calculate the HTML now, right? It's not going to be that static HTML. We are going to copy and paste this HTML multiple times. So we can grab this here, put it here, right? But we have only that one alias. But now we can put this inside of a loop, right? And for every iteration of that object, we can copy and paste this over and over. So we can do this using the map function. We can say we can refer to our current state. Okay, this dot state. We can grab the movies that is in there. That's an array, right? And we can do like a for each, right? And iterate over that. Or we can use a map function. A map function, what it does is that it iterates over the array, and passing us each element at a time, right? It allows us to create a function here, allows us to create a function, and it passes us each one of the elements in the array. In this case, it would be a movie object. Right? So as it iterates, it passes us each one of the movie objects. And whatever we return here will be accumulated, right? Pasted into the resulting output, right? So here we're going to grab this li, and we're going to say return, and we're going to return this li. Right? So let's if we return, notice that we are copying and pasting aliens 3 times because we have 3 objects in that array. Yes? Obviously, we don't want always aliens. We want to make that dynamic. So instead of aliens, we have the movie right here, and the movie has a title. Right? So we can say here, instead of aliens, we can put an expression here that says, really, I want movie.title. Right? And there we have Aliens, Titanic, and Terminator 2. Make sense? Okay, one more thing. If we look at if we inspect this, we can see that we have an error in the console saying, warning, we are missing the key property. Right? You're missing the key property. What this is referring to is that React keeps track of all the elements that it dynamically generates, especially these over here that we are generating dynamically through a loop. Right? It does this for performance purposes. It wants to make sure that if the state of the component changes, that it doesn't try to render the entire list. If this list would be hundreds of elements long, it would try to only modify or change the rendering, the UI, only of those elements that actually changed. So for performance reasons, it wants to keep track of this. And the way it does it is that we need to provide a mandatory required key that uniquely identifies this element. Okay? So we could use perhaps a title. We know that the title is, for now, the title is unique. The title is unique. It still renders the same. And notice that we don't have the error anymore. All right? Everybody good?